Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at Artmage, the newest archetype to come to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and because this is a newer archetype in both the TCG and the OCG, I figured, hey, let's take a look at it. And this isn't going to be a comprehensive dive into Artmage. This is more so just to give you an idea as to how the archetype works and to show you some of the things that it does to see whether or not you would want to play it. So I'm also going to show you one simple combo, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the cards and what they aim to do. So first and foremost, it's centered around Medius the Pure, similar to that of Fallen of Albaz. Similar idea, because it's another lore archetype. This is the big guy that we're playing around. That being said, the Artmage archetype itself centers around the field spell. The field spell allows you to search out by discarding a spell trap any of the monsters, which is why we're playing a lot more spell traps than any of the monsters. By the way, this is not a good deck list. I'm just throwing things together. The important things to note are the just the monsters, right? We're also playing Alteration as well, which is just a way to get to the field spell. But basically, the field spell allows you to search out all of the monsters each turn. You just have to discard each time you search. Discard a spell trap, I should say. So there's that. Medius also allows you to get to Power Patron, which is a fusion monster. You basically just fusion summon during the main phase at quick effect speed, which is pretty nice. Now, the fusion monsters that you want to go into are Deactorus, which allows you to mostly... It's kind of a monster negate if you have enough bodies on your field, but mostly it's just used as a way to get a fusion on the field and just to trigger some of the other effects. It's not really all that great of a boss monster or anything like that. The main boss monster is actually Power Patron of Creation, which basically says, hey, if your Artmage monster does a thing, you can actually chain into it and change the effect to be nuke your opponent's field, which is actually fairly solid. Anyway, on top of that, we have a few other spell traps that are of note. Awakening as well as Succession are pretty solid. And then you need to play Assault as well, because Assault is the way to get through the field spell in order to get to Medius. Assault is the way to get to Medius, so there's that. And then the rest of these are pretty simple as well. Femel, Gran, and Graflayer have effects where if you have 3 or more different types among Artmages, I believe. No, just 3 or more different monster types on your field. They can do a thing at quick effect speed to interact with your opponent, and Litera just has the ability to reborn a monster during the main phase, during your opponent's main phase, which is pretty solid, allowing you to either reborn something like Power Patron, or even use Medius, reborn it, and then use the Medius effect in order to reborn, or special summon from the deck, a Power Patron, which then would also allow you to fusion summon. So that's kind of how you cycle through the deck, utilizing the spell traps to get into the monsters and just like sending them to the graveyard. On top of that, there's, a bunch of recursion in this deck. So you put the cards back into your hand, you put them back onto the field, you kind of cycle through the same 3 or 4 cards. That being said, it's still a fairly interesting archetype, and we're going to showcase it here. All right, so this is a 1.5 card combo that starts with Medius. All you need is another spell. Well, okay, technically through the combo you need 2 spells, but you can draw into one of them. But that being said, you just need 2 spell traps, I should say, for this combo, as well as Medius, right? That being said, you can get to Medius through a wide variety of means, including through your Artmage stuff, which is pretty solid. So for the most part, a lot of the engine just kind of feeds into itself, so it's not exactly difficult to get into your engine and get this combo through various other means. That being said, you're going to use Medius. Medius is then going to special summon out the Power Patron. One thing I should note is that if you do have the field spell does allow you to grab Medius and use it. Sorry, the field spell doesn't allow you to grab Medius, but it does allow you to extra normal Medius. Maybe not the field spell, one of the spells does. Anyway, beside the point. Power Patron allows you to now fusion summon into the new fusion. Now, mostly this is just used for the effect to grab up the additional guy, at least on the first turn, right? Or to use the effect of the Power Patron to grab up the field spell. Here, the field spell is going to activate, and this is where the first of our discards comes in that we do in fact need. So here we grab the Graflayer, we grab the we summon the Graflayer and set the new Searcher. Now this Searcher, either grabs the field spell and just places it into the field zone, or adds an Artmage card if you already have the field spell. So that's why it's pretty useful. So we're going to use this. We're going to activate its effect in order to grab up the trap card here. This one's pretty solid. It's not insane by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have a graveyard effect, which is also nice. So there you go. From here, we're going to discard another card to grab up the Litera. Litera is going to then special summon itself. Since we have the Artmage cards, we're going to special summon it, and out comes the guy. From here, we can add back the trap card here, and then use it as an additional discard to grab up the female. Finmail. Sorry, female? Same thing. Anyway, out comes Cross EP, specifically pointing to the the fusion monster. That's what they're called. Now we can special summon out the Finmail and draw a card. Hey, it's a spell trap. Fantastic. Here we can also activate the effect of the Cross Sheep, special summoning out the Litera, which is, again, pretty solid. From here, we are going to use the spell here in order to discard this, and then also send the Finmail to the graveyard to go for Finito. Finito is going to then set from our deck the Assault, and Assault is going to grab us an additional Medius. So we can grab an additional Medius now from the deck, right? Now we could also additionally normal summon this, but notably what we can also do here is just pass the turn. Now during the opponent's main phase, we actually do have quite a few things that we can do. Most notably, this card, Finito, allows you to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control, which is pretty solid. On top of that, we can also use the effect of our this one, Litera. So Litera has the ability during the opponent's main phase to special summon. We're also going to chain here as well to go for the Finito. So we're going to go for the Finito and I clicked the wrong thing. I was supposed to go into the Silvera because you can actually just fusion summon Silvera, which is pretty nice. And that's just an Omni. So again, pretty solid. So I goofed. But it's fine. We're going to go into the creation here. And then we also get to reborn one of our guys. We're going to reborn this one. And then we get to activate this one's effect. Yep. And this brings back the Medius. And then Medius effect is going to activate. And this is where the second Power Patron comes in. So normally what you would do is you would use the Power Patron here. And you would fusion summon here. In order to, instead of going into what I'm going to go into here, you would go into the power creation. So you'd have Silvera and then the power creation as well. Little bit of a goof on my part, but this also shows you generally what the deck can do. Besides that, we're also going to trigger the effect here in order to grab up our additional quick play spell. Now this does have to take place in the main phase, but that being said, we now actually have quite a bit available to us. So first and foremost, we do have the monster negate because we do have the 3 different types. We have a fairy, we have a illusion, we have a warrior, and we have a beast. So more than 3 different types. We also have the ability to chain it and make it destroy everything, which is also pretty solid. And then we also have the ability to negate the effects of all face-up monsters the opponent currently controls. Not only that, but we also have the ability to activate our Artmage Pact in the graveyard in order to banish it, then target an Artmage monster you control, return that monster to the hand or extra deck, and if you do destroy a card your opponent controls. So we have a lot of ways to remove cards from the field. The issue with this is, of course, prevention of disruption, right? And that's where the Silvera would come in. So alas, it's still not terrible, but could have been a little bit better is all that I am saying. On top of that, if we do have additional pieces of additional points of interaction, like for example our Graflayer, or if we are able to, put the creation on the field earlier or something of that nature, we then just have those additional points of interaction that we can use to, nuke the field here. So for example, I'm going to activate our Dictorus, which we are then going to chain and activate this and just nuke my opponent's field. So there you go. All right, now real quick, I do want to talk about the actual power level of the deck. First of all, I think that this deck is likely to be expensive because it is the new lore archetype, similar to that of Branded. That being said, this archetype is not very good right now. it's still receiving new support, and while we will get likely the full suite of cards, which is not available currently in the TCG, and is honestly, I don't think available in the OCG as well. I don't think Artmage is in at full power in either. That being said, I don't think Finito is enough to change the dynamic of the deck enough to make it stronger than any of the other top tier decks. That being said, it's a good investment for the future. It is likely to be the next big archetype, similar to that of Branded, I would assume. So keep that in mind. It's still a new deck in its philosophy and the way that it plays, but Medius the Pure in particular is just a solid card, and will be in several other archetypes, and at least will have like some power in some of the other archetypes. So do keep that in mind. There are some cards that are probably worth it. However, notably, both the Patron of Creation and Diactorus are both URs, so I don't know how expensive the main deck is going to be. Likely, I would say Medius and the Field Spell are going to be URs as well. So there you go. Hopefully this helps and gives you a little bit of an idea of how the deck functions, and you can make your decision off of that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.